You're working on yourself, but you don't even notice you're getting better. Nothing's wrong, you're just experiencing the progress paradox. And here's how it works. Now, before the end of the video, I'll share with you some quick actions to help you move forward when you're struggling. 9 years ago, I jumped into the world of self-improvement. No clue if it would actually change anything or, so I just tried it. I, of course, hit setbacks, had small wins, doubted myself constantly. I didn't realize it then, but I was already living what I now call the progress paradox. The more you improve, the less you feel it, until one day you can see it clearly. A couple of months ago, I joined a professional course. Nothing crazy, just something chill to expand my resume. I walked into this cold, fluorescent lit room expecting boredom, learning a new skill, grab a certificate, maybe network a little bit, but that was it. Something hit me immediately as soon as I walked in. People were panicking, over basic tasks, afraid of being judged, second guessing everything. Basically, I saw my old self in them. But this time I wasn't afraid. I was calm, I was confident, volunteering, ready to jump in. And that's when the progress paradox smacked me in the face. I had changed, and a lot. But I didn't notice it until, I saw people struggling with fears I used to battle every day. So the daily ground of personal growth had worked in silence, stacking up bit by bit so slowly I didn't even feel it happening. Now, to understand why that moment hit so hard, here's who I was 9 years ago. Mornings felt like quicksand. I dread the day before it even started. One bit of feedback at work could spin me out for days. I felt like a fraud most of the time. I felt like I'd be exposed at any second for whatever. So I tried changing, a little bit. Read mindset books, listened to podcasts, I tried random life hacks, and for a long time, nothing really felt different. I still panicked, still doubted myself, still wondered if this whole self-improvement thing was a scam. But it wasn't, right? The progress paradox was already in motion. I was quietly rewiring myself, reframing failure, adding routines, stacking small habits. Each change felt invisible at the time, but they were compounding behind the scenes. This is, the heart of the progress paradox. The more consistently you work on yourself, the less dramatic the changes you feel. So you assume nothing is happening, when in reality, everything is. Back in the course, the instructor asked for a volunteer to lead a group discussion. I raised my hand without flinching, Some people looked at me with confusion like, why is this guy so calm? Now, the old me would have spiraled, overthinking every word, terrified of messing up, But now I felt chill. I was prepared, I was solid. And that's the paradox. 9 years of crawling through discomfort, reading, failing, learning had turned me into someone who didn't blink at a challenge. And I didn't even notice it until I was thrown into this new environment that kind of revealed it. So for a second, I questioned myself, am I being arrogant? Do I think I'm better than these people? But no, it wasn't arrogance, it was growth, And I had empathy for these people because I knew exactly what that fear felt like. I'd walked through it for years, quietly, clumsily, and imperfectly. Now, if we define it, the progress paradox, the more constantly you improve, the more invisible your progress becomes until one unexpected moment shows you how far you've come. I went home buzzing. Everything I thought wasn't working had been working in stealth mode. It wasn't a clean journey, Sometimes I was locked in, reading, journaling, working out. Other times I fell back into bad habits. Some phases felt like breakthroughs, others felt like fucking drowning, But that's the point. If you zoom in on any one phase, it looks messy. If you zoom out across the whole 9 years, you can see the transformation. So each tiny attempt, each failure, each rebound was part of the build. Back in the course during breaks, I started to give small tips to people who were extreme panicking. Try focusing on what you can learn if you fail, speak up even if you feel shaky, you'll learn more by doing it. Their eyes kind of lit up a little bit, but I remember how hearing stuff like that used to keep me afloat. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do for the other people. And that's the other side of the progress paradox. Once you realize how far you've come, you want to lift others up because you remember the fear, the doubt, and you know how powerful even one small shift can be. Now, a few weeks later, I've caught up with some old friends, people who I knew when I was, back in the day, the anxious and reactive me. They all said the same thing. You've changed. more focused, more calm, more grounded. And here's the wild part. I still felt like me. That's the confusing thing about growth. From the inside, it barely registers, but from the outside, it's obvious. Now, these comments basically echoed what I felt in that course. This wasn't in my head, like the work actually paid off. Self-improvement gets a bad rap because it's not flashy, there's no highlight reel, no confetti. It's just quiet, boring, unglamorous repetition. But that's where the real change happens, in silence, behind the scenes. Until one day you realize you're no longer scared of the things that used to paralyze you, right? And if you're in the middle of it right now, here's what helps, I'm gonna give you some quick steps. Name the process. Now, I called it the progress paradox, which helps me see the bigger picture behind every daily effort. You can track tiny wins. When you handle a situation better than before, write it down. These small shifts are your proof. You have to allow time. Real change doesn't happen in weeks. It happens in years. Be okay with that. Accept the blur. You won't always feel different. That doesn't mean, you're not growing. So it can be blurry. And of course, pass it on. Help others. Say the thing you wish someone told you. That's how you reinforce your own growth. Now, looking back at those 9 years were chaos, honestly. And I would have laughed if someone told me, after 3 or 5 years, that I was making progress. I felt like I was running in place, but I wasn't. Every habit, every failure, every rebound was part of it. So if you're in it right now, wondering if any of this is working, know this. It is. Keep showing up. Keep stacking small wins. Keep going, especially when it feels pointless. Because one day you'll walk into a moment that used to terrify you and you'll move through it like it's nothing. That's when you realize you've changed, you've grown, and you're never going back.